Okay, so some basic trailer facts. It's 7.2 by 2.4 meters and it weighs 740 kgs. So it's pretty massive for a trailer, but it's actually fairly modest for a house. In this video I'm going to cover painting the trailer black, installing the underfloor insulation, the water tanks, and laying the ply flooring. In June 2016 I commissioned my trailer with Jono, a local engineer. I spent some time with him before he built my trailer to draw up the plans into an accurate 3D model. I learned a lot from Bryce's channel, Living Big in a Tiny House. He's got a whole playlist about tiny house trailers, and his in particular are great for Kiwis because they're specific to New Zealand rules and regulations. The trailer came back fully braked, and you can put the cab controller into any towing vehicle and control the brakes with the push of a button. Bryce has got a great video about that too, the link's here on the screen. I found out that weight distribution is also really important when towing anything, and tiny houses are no different. The majority of the weight needs to be up the front so that you have control while you're driving. So I designed my house with this in mind. My trailer was delivered at the end of August and the family and I were pretty excited. We spent a good hour admiring it.
I could play with you, Gina. We could play roast.
I measured the trailer up to make sure it was the same as my 3D model, and it was. They'd done a really good job. One thing I had to get sorted pretty early on in the piece was the grey and fresh water tanks. I wanted them to be built into the bridge of the trailer so they wouldn't take up any space inside. So I took them to a custom tank manufacturer and they measured up the space. But they had a lot of work on, so we had to book the job in for the future. We were really keen to get started working though, so we decided that in the meantime we'd pre-cut the ply flooring so that it would be all ready to go. We used 21mm treated ply, and the dimensions of the trailer were just perfect to fit a standard 1200 by 2400 sheet of ply, so there was almost no wastage. Between the dual axles there was an area we decided to use for additional storage, hence why we left a hole in the middle of the floor. We built a box to sit down into the hole, and this will become part of a raised storage floor that I'll cover in another video.
We're going to have to get this out.
I know.
Should we be doing this then?
Yep.
Another job I decided to do while waiting for the tanks to get done was to paint the whole trailer. It was made of pre-galvanised steel and all the welds were treated with a zinc fortified spray, but a few coats of paint would give it extra longevity. I also thought that from a design perspective, if the trailer was black it would be less noticeable than silver. First I lightly sanded the whole thing so that the paint would stick, and then I degreased everything and finally blew off all the dust with a couple of different blowers so we could get a nice clean finish. We thinned the paint, tested the gun and got into it. We managed to do 2 coats on the top and the sides of the trailer before having to leave it with the tank manufacturer for a week while they moulded and fitted the tanks. So this morning I picked up my trailer and they've been putting in a freshwater and a grey water tank. So just in front of me here, this is the freshwater tank up the front of the trailer, and then down the back of the trailer we've got a grey water tank. They have a pretty large capacity for a tiny house. This one, the freshwater is about 340 litres, and down the back we've got 20 litres more than that in the grey water, so that the house can be certified self-contained. And yes, I towed it with my Corolla and it was fine. For now anyway. So at this point, we still had to paint under the trailer, which meant lifting it up onto its side, and we knew this would put some stress onto the trailer, so while we waited for a good day to paint, we decided to lay down the flooring we had pre-cut so that it would act as a bracing for when we lifted the trailer. But before we could do that, we had to do 2 other jobs. The first was that I had to insulate the floor. I'd been given some second-hand cool store insulation, 35mm thick styrofoam panels, and I cut them to fit between the structure of the trailer. It was such a snug fit that it held itself in place, but we did fix this down, and you'll see that later. Jason did the second job, which was to apply foam inseal tape to all of the places where the flooring would come into contact with the steel, and this created a moisture barrier and also hopefully prevents any squeaking in the floor. Styrofoam isn't the nicest material, and not something I'd go out and buy, but sometimes the most environmentally friendly material is one that already exists, meaning that to repurpose an existing product that would have otherwise ended up in landfill is better than buying something new, even if the new product is considered environmentally friendly. So then we could fix down the flooring. We had already pre-cut the panels before we started painting, so it was just a case of laying them all down and screwing them off with truck decking screws.
Dude. No, you can't, can you?
Can I what?
Move your end up. Tap that front back together.
So with the flooring down giving the trailer rigidity, we were ready to finish the painting. So the final thing that we have to do to finish off painting the trailer is painting the underside, and we've been waiting for the right day to do it. We really need it to be not windy, so that the paint actually goes onto the trailer instead of blowing away, and not raining so we can do it outside, because we actually have to lift the trailer up to get underneath of it. And today is the perfect day. I'm so stoked. We've been waiting for a long time. There's literally no movement in the trees, it's so still, and literally no clouds in the sky. Let's do it. So I've got strapping here, which has been tech screwed into the bottom of the trailer, and then also in the middle of each piece of insulation we've got another piece of strapping, and that's screwed through the insulation and up into the floor. Okay, so the trailer is painted both top and bottom, and all we've got left now is just some pesky little jobs to do. Put the stabilizers back on underneath, unmask the lights, and there was one more job. Oh yeah, put another plate back on. That's it for this episode. The trailer is warranted, registered, insulated and protected from rust. And the floor is done. So see you next time.
Gina,
Smile!
That'd be right.
can I say? Can I say Gina? Gina, please.
Just taking a video,
Well, I
just
thought
wait.
Gina know, like, are we going to do intermittent weighing? Like get it framed up, do a weigh, or?
I think you would try and do a bit of that.
Oh, your hand's cold!